Well, one of the stories you've been hearing about in the news that the U.S. government wants to take control of the country, the island of Greenland. Now, probably you folks are saying, why do we want Greenland? Well, the U.S. tried to get Greenland from Denmark clear back in the 1940s, right after World War II, but Denmark didn't want to have any part of that, but we're still trying. But I want to show you something, and I want you to take a look at something so you understand why Greenland is so important to the political stability and the security of the United States of America. Here's a look at a map. Take a look at a big globe. And let's say you're way up in space in the space station or wherever you happen to be, floating around in the Enterprise. I don't know what you're doing. But you decide to look down to the Earth from the top down. I don't have a great big giant globe like some places have, but I want you to look down the top down, and there is Greenland. You see it in that red splotch right there. That's Greenland. Now, the arrow that you see pointing at, what is that? Russia. That's right. There is the distance between the northern part of Greenland and Russia. And why does Russia want Greenland? Well, because it gives them an advantage, kind of like they wanted to be in Cuba back many, many years ago. They want Greenland because, well, Greenland has a lot of minerals, it turns out, under their ground, because Greenland is a big, giant island. Matter of fact, it's the biggest island there is in the world. Now, you say, well, gee, isn't Australia bigger? Greenland is huge, but it's mostly ice. But if you've ever flown over Greenland, especially during the summer, it's a stunning view. Now, but is that close to Russia? Russia would like to have it. China would like to have it. Gives them a foothold right there next to the United States, right in the northern portion. Now, for years, back in the 1950s, we built an airstrip there. It's called Thule, Greenland. And yeah, flying it in the summer wasn't bad, but flying in the winter, that was a whole different animal going into that place. So, yes, we had Thule, Greenland there, but now we have the Space Force has a position there where they can monitor things going on in space because they want to see what's coming up, what's flying toward the United States. It's part of the almost called the dew line system, if you will, which is the radars that were set in back years and years ago so you could see what was coming over the horizon toward the United States coming out of Russia. And, well, Greenland was one of those places. And the United States military, for years, was flying aircraft into and out of Thule, Greenland. But keep in mind, the country of Greenland is sort of a protectorate of Denmark. Now, it's a self-run country. They've got their own control. They can do what they want. But they depend upon Denmark for about everything going on. 56,583 people live in Greenland, most on the southwest coast. And you see a little map there, and you see where all the places are where people live. Yes, they have a university there, believe it or not, so they get higher education, but predominantly they've had the Norse people there. Over the years, there's been people occupying Greenland for the last 4,500 years. This goes back to the Norsemen and various groups coming over, and even the Inuit, the Indian tribe, if you will, are inhabiting the place. And today, like I said, there's 56,000 people who live there. But that island, well, it's a big island, but it's of strategic importance to the United States. And the United States wants to buy it from Denmark. Now, are there negotiations going on? I presume there are. Some say it's not going to happen. Some say it's going to happen. I don't know. But the U.S. wants Greenland because they want to be able to protect the northern portion of the United States, and anything flying out of Russia, where you see where the big red arrow is pointing, well, that's got to come that way. If anybody wants to attack the United States or try to create any problems, they have to come over the pole that way. Now you understand. So Greenland is very close to the North Pole, but the southern end, the southwestern end, is where most of the people live. So, will it happen? Will the U.S. get Greenland? I don't know. But I can tell you this. The capital is Nuuk. I may be mispronouncing it. But here's something interesting. The coldest temperature ever recorded in the, well, to my knowledge, probably here in the northern part of the hemisphere, was at Greenland, and the temperature was minus 93.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Minus 93. Now, in Nuuk, the capital, The average temperature ranges anywhere from 22.8 to 49.8 degrees. That's their temperature range, and that's in Fahrenheit, not centigrade. That's 22 degrees to 48 degrees in the summer. Now, they have some interesting places there, places to go look at, sort of beaches, but flying over it's pretty doggone cool, especially in the summer. In the winter, not so much. You really wouldn't want to land there unless you're landing at Thule. But now you know, the United States wants Greenland for strategic defense purposes. And so does Russia, and so does China. All depends who gets there first. Now you know what's going on in Greenland. Will it happen? Time will tell, folks. But at least now you know.